Alright, so today I'm going to teach you guys a couple different ways to learn how to do a backflip on a trampoline, as well as a couple of different variations of backflips that you can do. So, when you're learning how to do a backflip, you have to understand that it's all about commitment. If you're not going to commit to the flip, then there's a good chance that you're going to get hurt. You have to commit to going around. Most everybody's physically capable of doing the backflip, so you've got to just throw it. Alright? First way is probably the easiest way. If you guys can do a cartwheel, then it's super simple. It just takes some time to learn. So basically, you'll start off, get comfortable doing a cartwheel on a trampoline, just a little bit different than on the ground. It'll look like this. And then what you want to think about doing is jumping into your cartwheel a little bit. So you'll get a little bit of a bounce, still starting sideways here, and jumping over onto your hands, like this. Once you can do that, then you can transition it more over into like a back handspring. So what you have to do then is start with your body facing forward, and you're going to look over that shoulder and think about doing a cartwheel just like you did before. It's the same exact thing, you just turn 90 degrees. Alright, so I get a little bounce, and then I'll jump over, and then cartwheel. As you get more comfortable with that, instead of throwing your arms towards your shoulder, you're going to throw them straight over. It's still okay if you look to your shoulder a little bit to feel comfortable. That's totally fine. Eventually you'll want to throw it straight over once you feel like you'll be safe. Alright, so it'll look a little more like this. And that'll turn into a back handspring. If you can do a back handspring, then you can definitely do a backflip. You just have to jump and get a little bit more power. Alright, so even if you're still looking over your shoulder to spot the ground, that's totally fine. Just start jumping a little bit, and then look over, and flip. I think it's a lot easier to learn how to do a layout where you're not tucking than it is to do a tuck, because with a tuck you've got to get a little bit more timing. If you do want to learn how to do a tuck, that's going to help you out with a lot of different backflip variations though. If you feel a little bit more comfortable on a trampoline and you want a faster progression, you can just go for the backflip right away. A couple of things that you want to keep in mind is that you want to set your arms up and then bring your knees up to your shoulders. We never want to bring our shoulders down to our knees, alright? It's always shoulders up and then knees up to our shoulders. So I get my bounce, then throw my arms up, bring my knees up to my shoulder, and then land over just like that. This is a little bit harder because your flip's going to go a bit quicker, and it's a little bit trickier to spot the ground. Anytime you can spot the ground before you land is going to help you, because then you can think about throwing your feet down to the ground and landing safely. If you're not quite comfortable jumping high yet, that's okay, you can still try it. Even if you land over each of your knees, that's typically a pretty safe way to land. You just want to make sure that your hands are down too. So if I jump over, don't quite make it, and land down to my knees, that's alright. That's most of the backflip. All you have to do is get comfortable with having just a little bit more power. Remember, whenever you're learning a new trick or flip, safety is the most important thing. You want to think about going at your own progression. Alright, if you feel pretty comfortable, maybe you've done a backflip into a foam pit before, then you can try just throwing the tuck and thinking about going over to your knees and your hands and then to your feet. That's okay, but if you don't quite feel as comfortable, really start going over your shoulder, thinking about doing a cartwheel, as it's going to be an easier and safer progression for you. Remember, to do a good backflip though, you will need to set your shoulders and your hips nice and square, so make sure that you make little adjustments at a time until you get it nice and square. A couple of different really cool backflip variations that you can do. One of them is just a layout where you're going to arch your back and whip over so your eyes are looking for the ground as fast as possible, like this. Another one you can do is an X out. That's one of my favorites. It's where you're going to stand your chest up nice and high, and then you'll circle your arms around and then kick both feet out off to the corners. Alright, so you're going to set your arms up, they circle around, and then I like to grab underneath my legs to kick both of them out. Alright, so get your bounce. You want to jump nice and high and try to get that kick up as high as possible. Up, around, kick, and then back down. Always spotting down for your landing to get your feet right down. Next one's going to be a flash kick. A flash kick is really similar to a layout. Instead of whipping both your feet down, you're going to try to kick one foot over. The earlier you can get your flash kick out, the better. If you're just kicking down towards the ground, it's not quite going to look as nice. You really want to be thinking about kicking a target way over top of your head here. Alright, so jumping up, think about laying out and kicking over. If you get a little bit of a back arch, it might look a little bit nicer, but it's really personal preference. Another one of my favorite variations is a stall. There's a bunch of different ways that you can do a stall. We're just gonna stall with our arms out just like this, and then tuck in at our peak. What's really important about this is spotting. You have to be patient. You wanna spot somewhere in front of you, arch your back just a little bit so you start your flip, and then once you feel like you're at your peak, then you're gonna pull your knees over. You're gonna wanna be really comfortable with backflips before you're trying this, and it's a good idea to start with a little stall at a time, making it a progression where you slowly start to stall a little bit more. So this would be a smaller stall here, up, and then tuck. Then as you get more comfortable, you can start jumping higher and stalling a little bit longer. Just like that. The last backflip variation is going to be a rodeo. A rodeo is where you grab your ankle. In this case, we're going to be grabbing both ankles because it looks a little bit cooler, but it can be one ankle if you want. Kind of depends on the trick that you're doing. So what you want to think about doing is setting your chest up kind of like a stall, and then as you're coming around, you'll grab towards the top of your shin and then slide it down and pull your leg back. All right, if you just grab like this, it's gonna look like a normal tuck. You have to slide it down and pull it back. This one's gonna take a little bit more strength and a little bit more flexibility, so it takes a bit of practice to do. So you'll set up. Once you get to your peak, you know you're gonna come around, then you're gonna grab the top of your shin, slide it down, and pull it back. I like to spot the ground so I know when I'm gonna land, and I can hold that rodeo as long as possible to make it look really cool. All right, so watch, jump up, grab and slide. Once you see the ground coming down, then you want to throw your feet down, let go of that grab, and land safely.